All right, I'm back at it again, working on push mowers, trying to turn non-running ugly mowers into something that will cut somebody's grass that they'll be glad to own. And this is a big Craftsman 190cc. It's called Ready Start, which means it's self-priming. You'll notice there is a dummy block there where the primer bulb would go, and that's because it doesn't need a primer. It's self-priming. 21-inch cut, nice little Craftsman mower. Shouldn't say little, it's pretty big. 21-inch cut, and it's got all 4 tabs to adjust the wheels. It's got the mulch plate, which clips down, spring-loaded, or you can discharge straight out the side with that attachment right there, the discharge chute. It takes a bag, which I have for it. The pull cord needs to be replaced, so we'll be doing that. I've already replaced the gas cap out of my supplies with another Briggs gas cap. This is the one that was in there. These always seem to fall apart shortly after you own them. These are the ones that Craftsman made where you could add your own fuel stabilizer. It was in this little package. This little thing here, you punch a hole in it and it slowly drips out. I don't think that ever really caught on, and the caps then kind of disintegrate in the way they're made. So all that grips it is this part, and this is just kind of loose. So this is now trash. This, I don't think is going to fit that anymore, so that's useless. So let's clip that off and get that out of the way, because that's just going to confuse people. Let's see if I can clip it right there. Let me get something to do that a little better with. How about a good old-fashioned pair of scissors? See if that'll work. All right, so that's gone. Now, you could maybe drill a little hole inside the cap, and, well, that wouldn't work, never mind. So anyway, it's just the old-fashioned cap now. You gotta try hard not to lose it. The guy said this didn't run. I mean, it looks filthy, absolutely filthy, but I wanted to show you, you get some of these old mowers, and underneath the grunge, I just took a paper towel and some Windex, and that's what it looks like underneath. So this is going to be a pretty mower. Let's tilt it back so you can see what's underneath. That's what it looks like under there. And I've got the wheels lowered, so I think I can tilt it back without it impinging. And there is no fuel in this mower, and that's what it looks like underneath. And it's always encouraging to look under there and see that at least the blade is not on upside down. Let me put this in the holster, and we're gonna start work on rescuing Tammy, which is what she's gonna be called. I'm gonna figure out how to reattach my little amateurish camera holder. Let's see if I can figure this out. Hang on, people. Okay, that's pretty good, I guess. Back up a little bit. I know it's dark under there, but I can't help that. I had taken my flashlight to look underneath and check for black black widows and things that'll get you. I obviously need to get that stuff off the crankshaft. But while I've got it back, I do want to check and make sure that this screw doesn't wobble. I want to make sure the crankshaft isn't bent. So let me unplug the plug, and I'm going to take the plug out so I'm not fighting the compression as I turn the blade. Let's see, that's not going to fit. That's a big one. Let's see, let's try my old spark plug that fits. Oh man, there we go, okay. So I'm gonna get that spark plug off and check it out. It says it's a first fire FF10. And I think that's correct. I'm going to set it over here for now. Looks all right. Let me get my gloves on since I'm going to be touching the blade. And I've got to take the engine brake off, and I'm going to do that by putting a tool chest on the bale to hold it down. Tool chest will also help keep this mower from falling down on me. So we're going to watch this and see if it wobbles or not. Okay, that looks great. I always like to look at the clearance right where the blade comes around. There is about ½ an inch up in the deck. I like it to be a little lower than that, but at least it matches. That's another thing that tells me that the blade, the crankshaft is not bent. Okay, that blade is touching up there, or not, I'm sorry, not touching, but it's close to touching up there. And that one is close. Okay, that, at least they match. It looks like there's some wear on this blade here. So if I balance this blade, it may go wear, and that will cause some vibration. So I'll have to check that. So let's get this blade off of here. Here, and I want the metal of the C-clamp above the block, because the blade's going to come around this way and hit the wood. Okay, tighten that C-clamp up. The leverage created by the length of the blade will keep this block from moving. At least that helps that. That looks like a 9/16, so I'm going to get my 9/16 high impact socket out. If I can find it. Where did it go? That's probably on the end of the, there we go. This is my breaker bar. Let's get this thing off of there. That's a tight fit. Let me hit that a few times with a little wire brush just to help a little bit. Stir up some dust. There we go. That's a good start. Swing it around, another couple of turns, and then I can use my electric drill. Checking the balance of this blade. and its condition. Yeah, it's a little thin on one end. So this blade may not be balanced. Just check that. I'm going to get my wire brush again. Just knock the crud off. If this blade is usable, I just got to make sure it's balanced. So what I'm going to do is get a pretty thin screwdriver, if I can find it, or something even thinner, like one of my knitting needles, which I use all the time. Put that right in the center. That's really pretty good. I'm gonna flip it and try it from this side now. Oh, I was touching that block, so that's not a good test. Oops. Okay, it might be a little heavy on that side. So when I go to sharpen this blade, I'm gonna mark it as that with an X, with that being the slightly heavy side. But we're gonna set that aside for now. And start getting this mess off. And something like this you want to get off because it'll eventually tear up your main seal up there. And right up in here is where I got into that Black Widow back in my first episode of Rescuing Libby. And this looks like the large crankshaft. And if it is, I might move this engine to a self-propelled deck, because I've been kind of looking for one. Let me tap on this a few times just to see how loose this is. I'm not sure if it's loose at all. Let me hit some baby blaster. Let that be soaking in right along that groove, the key groove. A little bit of tapping. I think it may have moved. I think it moved. That's definitely the bigger crankshaft. So this may end up on a Toro. I've been looking for one like this. Let me just check that. Yeah, I think that might work. Okay, we got the blade off. I think that's enough for now. When you come back, I'm going to go in under the hood on this thing.